Powered by Riverside.
Hey, welcome to another edition of BJB Today. It is Thursday as these games get a little more condensed now. We're only one day away from another game, which is nice. And joining me today, special guest Jon Walker, beat writer for the Omaha World Hearld. Hey, Jon, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. We are officially in basketball season, so now we don't have to talk about what could be and what might be and what if. Now we just get to talk about what is and I guess also what could be still.
Yeah, I was going to say. All right. Well, we want to appreciate Jon being with us, but let's just give a quick shout out to our sponsors. First of all, RTI Threads. Thank you so much for being a sponsor this year, not only of Blue Jay Banner Today, but also our post-game show. And don't forget, they've got Creighton jerseys, both in men's and women's on the women's team, so you can get those, all kinds of Creighton apparel. They're the official exclusive apparel provider of Blue Jay Banner. So check them out today. Go to rtithreads.com. And then also, it's our friends over at Infusion Brewing Company. Go to their tasting room. You can check out all their beers. They've got their vanilla bean, their stouts, all of their fall beers, including their pumpkin beer. And don't forget, they also are the brewers of the Let It Fly beer, where you can get it at the arena and downtown at Let It Fly Sports Bar. So that's one that, you kind of got to have on your table before or after the game. That's Let It Fly. So check it out, Infusion Brewing, and go to infusionbrewing.com, see their hours of operation. And we're all set with Jon. Well, let's just, dig up something that's unpleasant and just, I've read about your thoughts, but let's just, what are your thoughts about the other night?
No, I really think the biggest takeaway is, or I guess let's preface with this. We knew Tuesday was possible. And if you didn't, you weren't paying attention to either one of Creighton or Gonzaga. We knew that with where Creighton is at and how far Creighton has to go, and with where Gonzaga is currently at, are two different places. And we saw that on Tuesday. And then you get into the nitty-gritty of the actual basketball, and you realize that Gonzaga's strengths were exactly Creighton's weaknesses. And we saw that in the second half, sure. The first half was really good, but the second half was, I think Mac described it as a total meltdown. And that's exactly what it was. Like, they did enough to hang around in the first half. Tim, we could so easily make the argument that Creighton could have been up at halftime if Graham Ike did not have the shooting performance of his career. So the first half, there was some really good in it. And then in the second half, there was some really, really, really bad, as we all saw. But to answer your question in a long, meandering way, I think my biggest takeaway from Tuesday was that Creighton will probably be fine. We know that Greg McDermott teams get better as the season goes on, typically around January. But boy, does this group have a long way to go to get there.
Yeah,
and I think Gonzaga proved how far.
Yeah, that's perfectly said, but I'll add to that. You said, if you're not watching, the other thing is, if you didn't listen to Coach Mack on Monday, it was pretty evident in that press scrum we had. I was almost like, I didn't disagree with him, but I was taken aback a little bit. Like, you usually don't hear a coach, like, he didn't say, hey, we're going to get killed. He just says, yeah, it's going to be a learning experience. Right then and there, it's not like, yeah, it's going to be a competitive game or something. I was like, okay. Coach is seeing what I've been seeing. And here's I guess this is a way over exaggeration and maybe going too far.
Sure.
And you've been at practices, and I'm not so much talking about the games because we've only had a couple so far, but I've seen many practices too. It seems like I sometimes look out there and it seems like you've just walked into a YMCA gym on a Saturday morning. 10 random guys showed up and they just divided up and we're all on one team. Like, you know what I mean? Like all other years you walk in, you see that connectivity right away. This isn't, and I think we saw that the other night at Gonzaga.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And I've had a bunch of people ask me about what happened Tuesday night at Gonzaga at this point. We're about 36 hours removed. So yeah, I had a lot of people ask in the 36 hours since Spokane. And it's the thing that Greg McDermott feared, the thing he talked about ahead of the first game. You know, somebody asked him, "Hey, how's your unselfishness so far?" And he said, "Well, I don't know yet because we haven't played any meaningful basketball." And it's one thing to like love each other during the off season and to share the ball in exhibitions, but it's another to do it against South Dakota, and then it's another to do it against Gonzaga. So yeah, that's where it gets really tricky. That's not a Trey Alexander reference. Because you have 9 newcomers, and for guys like Blake Harper, Nick Graves, I'm not saying they're the root of the issue here. I'm just they're perfect examples. You're asking all of these players who were the guy to be a guy. And that takes time. You know, Greg McDermott has not had this much off-season overhaul.
Right.
In quite some time, maybe not ever, because they hadn't been wiped by the transfer portal and by graduation, like this offseason. Obviously, with Ryan Kalkbrenner, Jemiah Neal, and Stephen Ashworth, the graduating ones. So the acclimation process was already going to take time, and we knew that. But then you add on how much overhaul, how much roster retooling Mac and his staff had to do, and you knew that there was going to be an added element to that. And yeah, so then Tuesday was kind of the perfect storm. Like, you have a team that won't be itself until January, really. And their second game of the season is on the road against the team that's already eyeing a Final Four. Like, that's nightmare fuel. And it absolutely was in the second half.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think few probably looks at that way now, but I think going in that game, Few was probably a little bit, questioning on his team. He knew he had the 2 Twin Towers in there. That was a constant, but how was everybody else? And to your point too, about the guy thing. Yeah, that's true on one hand. On the flip side, like Tuesday night, I looked out there and I go, for the past 6, 7, 8 years, we've had if not multiple, the guys that you could rely on in those situations. It's clear we don't have the guy. And again, John, back to your initial point, you're not paying attention because both you and I have reported on this, that they have these scrimmages, in the preseason, and they would split up the teams and split them up different ways. And every time you looked at the scoreboard, it was 34-32 after one half. Neither team could separate. I mean, they're just 10 guys that you can mix and match them, and you're just going to come up with the same thing right now.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, they'll evolve over the season. Greg McDermott teams do. And to circle back what we just talked about, like, there's already an acclimation process that comes with Greg McDermott's system. And then you're doing that with literally everyone on the roster, because if you weren't one of the 9 newcomers, all 7 returners are in new roles than they were in a year ago, whether that's on the court or leadership.
Mm-hmm.
For some guys, that's both. So, that we knew that. But then you get onto the court, and it's like one of my big things through the summer and through the preseason was I wanted to see Josh Dix assert himself as one of the top scorers on this team, as the guy who was one of the top portal prospects, period, this offseason. You know, I wanted to see him assert himself, and he did Tuesday night at Gonzaga, but he was 1 for 9. So that's what makes it really tough. You know, Jackson McAndrew was 2 for 8 at Gonzaga. You'd love to see him not go 2 for 8 in that kind of game. And then, you know, Owen Freeman was gassed, frankly. Like, what was just gassed. We saw the difference between coming back and that being against South Dakota, and then even with extra time, not much, not very much, but a little extra time to find his footing, he was still gassed against Gonzaga. So yeah, you know, who's going to be the guy? Is it eventually one of those three? I think it has to be for Creighton to reach its ceiling. But man, we've got to find out, and we got to find out quickly.
Yeah, and back to it's because at first we talked about like a 10,000-foot level. Now we're getting down to the micro, and
Sure.
yeah, I'm glad you brought up Freeman because, you know, I when he was ramping up to play, I thought he looked great and his conditioning looked great. I didn't notice the bad conditioning in the first, you know, the exhibition in the first game,
Yeah.
but the game the other day, now you're going against elite guys. I get that. I don't know if there was something, maybe he wasn't feeling well or whatever, but on the offensive end, like he just was not there, and he's got to be there. He had one move early on, which was a nice move, and scored, and I thought, okay, he can score over Iki. He's shown that right there. And then it just kind of like disappeared.
And and that was like his official welcome back to college basketball for the first time since the end of January. And that's part of it, Tim, is the guy hadn't played until the Colorado State exhibition. The guy hadn't played basketball in 9 months. So like his last game was January 27th, and then he had the finger injury at Iowa, had season-ending surgery, had just started to get back on the court during summer workouts, and then had the meniscus thing this offseason. So then I talked to Owen at their media day in early October, and he had mentioned, like, I played heavier than I wanted to for most of last year. So I've, you know, been even though I can't be on the court, I've been trying to work with Jeremy to get my body right and be in better shape. So he's been working toward that, but I mean, he just hadn't played basketball since January. So it's going to take time, as is everything with this team, but Owen Freeman is definitely going to take time. I think Max mentioned that he won't be at full strength until probably the new year, after the new year. It's like that long of a process, because you have the regular acclimation, which we've talked about at length at this point, and then you have his progression back to full strength following offseason meniscus surgery. So he's going through 2 return to court processes or return to play processes really simultaneously. So the thing for Owen Freeman is, once he gets to the point, whenever it is, and you hope it's sooner than later, obviously, but when Owen, much like the rest of the newcomers, get to the point where they are just playing and they're not also thinking about what to do with every step, that's when you'll see this team really start to settle in. When is that? You know, that's kind of the question.
Yeah. And I think, to the point, I think there was a question I asked Mac on Monday about defense, and that's what he said, was they're just all thinking. You must have talked to Owen on a day after he had a sit down with the coach, because when you would go up to him like September-ish, oh no, I'm 100% ready to go. And then you go, the coach is like, no, he's way high. Like Owen was spinning it the positive. So, the other guy, you know, the guy, when we talked about having a guy that's the guy, I thought maybe Graves is going to be that guy after the first couple of games. And then he seemed to really struggle the other night. And you pair that with Dix, you know, those are the 2 guys we're looking at. And, you know, they're our primary ball handlers. We had 3 assists out of the combined of them and 4 turnovers. I mean, and not very good shooting percentage. So, yeah, that's just got to be in me improvement right there.
Yeah. No, it certainly does. And especially Josh Dix, like the player that Creighton thought he'd be, the player we all thought he'd be, the portal prospect he was. Like all of these top teams wanted Josh Dix for a reason, and deservedly so. So like now he just has to be that player, and I don't know what it'll take for him to kind of get that monkey off his back. Is it a 20-point game? Is that, does he hit 3 threes, go 3 for 4 from 3 one night, and he settled in? What does that? But like I think Tim, in my mind, why I said it, like the guy eventually has to be Jackson, Owen, or Josh, is because if the portal, and this is no offense to Nick Graves at all, I love the way Nick Graves fits in this system. But if Nick Graves ends up being the guy, is that good on a roster that had a sophomore expected to be one of the best sophomores in the country, and Jackson McAndrew?
Mhm.
Is that good for a team that spent all of that money to go get a guy like Josh Dix, a consensus top 20 portal prospect? Is that good for a team that has, Owen Freeman, the second-rated transfer center in this year's cycle? And the last thing on that is would that be good for a team that Greg McDermott said is the deepest he's ever had?
Yeah,
If it's the transfer point guard from a mid-major, albeit, a good one, the point guard, not the mid-major necessarily.
You're going to tick off people in the American calling them a mid-major. They're going to be upset.
Well, they're okay.
Yeah, they're not a Power 5.
No. So no, yeah, that's how I see it. And I think Nick Graves will be really good this season. I think Nick Graves could be one of Creighton's best players this season. But I'm just saying, if Nick Graves is the best player, then I don't know if that, I don't know what that says about the rest of the roster.
Yeah, I hear you. And the first couple of games, it kind of reminded me of last year when Pop was kind of, the guy doing it for us, holding us in games and so forth. So, yeah, you brought up some other guys. First, I don't want to let you go without jumping it, because I saw you did a video on this, and we don't want to beat it to death, but redshirting Hudson Greer. I was just like, ugh. I just, here's my point. We're one injury, and we know injuries happen. We're one injury away from kind of needing him, whether that be because Jason's got to play so much at the 5, and now you need more backup at the 4-3. It could be one of the 3s, Swartz, Fedor, whoever. And I know it got messed up with Fedor coming back because, and that's not a bad comment on Fedor. It's just that they were kind of saying,
it just is what it is.
We weren't going to have him, so we need to fill in spots. But I know you were there on Monday, and it sure looked like somebody said, "Okay, you're going to redshirt me. I'll show you what I got." You could arguably say he was the best guy on the court on Monday.
Yeah, he looked pretty good Monday. And if that had just become a thing, or was just about to become a thing, well, then yeah, maybe he had a little bit of extra pep in his step, if you will.
And it's defense.
But,
defense is what's killed him so far. I mean, that's been the thing.
Yeah. It's certainly not his offense. It's certainly not his rebounding. It's certainly not his athleticism. So yeah, it's been the defense for sure. But it's just a sticky situation.
Yeah.
Like, can you redshirt? There's so many aspects to it. Optically, is it good for recruiting if you redshirt the highest ranked recruit you've ever brought in? I don't know. Like, genuinely, I don't know. we'll see it play out over the next couple of recruiting cycles, and I guess how the Hudson Greer situation, eventually ends, if you will. Like if we get to next year and Hudson's still here, I'm not saying he's at risk of transferring. It's just like, welcome to 2025, right?
Yeah.
If we get to this time next year and he's still here and has a prominent role, then it's like, okay, like, yeah, the year of development and the year in the system, the year learning the program was to a benefit. But if he transfers, or if whatever, he doesn't have a prominent role next year for some reason, then it's like, okay, what is going on here? Like, what? And then you talk about the basketball side of it. You were exactly right that this team is one injury away really from needing him. And then you could have the conversation about pulling the red shirt, obviously. I don't know if they would.
Yeah. I don't think. I think we'd probably have to have
I think it would depend
multiple.
when that injury.
I'm thinking we'd have to have multiple injuries in order to pull it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
have to be a
I think it
dire
would depend
situation.
that. Right, and like the timing, like Pop last year, if they had, for whatever reason, if they had another Pop on the team and 8 games go by, 9 games go by, and then they need help on the wings, like you can strip Hudson Greer of the red shirt and he can contribute immediately. But if that happens in mid-February, at that point,
No,
you
you're
can
not gonna do it.
probably just like ride it out with, whoever is healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tricky though. Nonetheless, it's a move for the future for sure. I mean, clearly it's obviously not for now, but they think Hudson Greer can be a great contributor. As soon as a year from now. And so they hope, both sides hope, that this year is, gonna put them on that track.
Okay, so before we get to the wrap-up part, I want to get this in. So I think the interesting thing to watch, too, is the dynamic, because Mac has given us so much this year.
Yeah.
He can say he's always had his assistants do it. I've been at there. The years I've been at practice, there was no doubt who was running the practice. It was Mac. This year, you could walk in there and go, think Huss was a head coach. I mean, so it's going to be the dynamic and how, and I know, talking with Al, like he's already thinking in his head, how do I want to move this team forward? He wants to keep it at the level it is now, but he knows everybody wants that higher level, that Elite Eight, that Final Four level. So how can I adjust the roster and make it go? So I think it's going to be interesting dynamic to watch the yin and yang as we go throughout the season.
No, I do too. And we knew entering the season that was kind of like one of this year's storylines, and that would not change. Because no, you're exactly right. I obviously haven't been here too long. Like, this is only my 3rd season on the beat, but I've never seen, like, sure, the assistants run the drills and stuff, but you literally see Huss and Mac like talk to each other and like question and whatnot between like drills. And like you said, previously, like, you could tell Mac was in charge of the practices. And now you can tell they're both in charge, or that either one of them's in charge, So yeah, that's going to be the thing to watch all year, and until Mac decides that it's time, whenever that is. But we've seen Al get after him a little bit in a few huddles so far this season.
Yeah, I'll get after him.
Yeah, so no, there's a benefit that comes with having the experience, the knowledge of 2 head coaches on the bench, especially when those 2 head coaches are Greg McDermott and Alan Huss. But it's a road that they have to learn to navigate together, because for both of them, like, this is unprecedented. It's one thing when Al was here for 6 years as an assistant, and eventually Mac's associate head coach, but we know, Mac knows, Huss knows, that soon Mac will step away and Huss is the guy. And so how do they handle that? I think they've handled it pretty well so far.
Yeah,
candidly. And I don't ever think there'll be like animosity or anything, but just again, there are challenges that come with it, and we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we'll get you out of here in this. So, of the current pool of national media, if they said to you, Jon, you can have 3 dinner guests to have dinner with, who would you choose?
Oh, national media.
Touche.
3 media guests. Probably like Max Kellerman.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think he's solid. Give me someone like Joe Tessitore.
Okay. All right.
He would make things entertaining.
Okay, you got two kind of loud guys there. All right.
Yeah. I think I want Max for the knowledge. I think he can talk about anything, and Joe Tessitore will bring our entertainment. And then Malika Andrews.
Oh, okay. So the reason I did that is that for people that don't know, so for the last 2 years, I'm not talking about this year, but the last 2 years, so Jon, at the end of our little press scrums we had at practices, would say to Mac, give him a question like that, okay? And I got it. I don't know. I've never talked to you about it, but I'm sure you kind of got the sense that he got annoyed at times. Right. I mean, you know.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And there were a couple of press conferences where I didn't do it.
Now it's flip-flop. Now he's like, wait a minute, don't you have something for me? You know, like it's totally flip-flop now.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've got to come up with something different. I talked to Wilson Moore about this during the preseason. Last year, he followed, he tracked every loose ball Nebraska had in their games. And there was a correlation he found out between if the Huskers dove on the loose ball, they won the game. Or if they didn't dive on them, they lost the game. So that was his season long, kind of intricacy. And then, mine was to just ask random questions to Greg McDermott, because why not?
I like the random
we
questions.
were talking. I don't even know if Wilson came up with anything for Nebraska or for Fred this year, but I currently don't have anything. So maybe I've got to come up with something to peeve Mac again.
Yeah. There's been some days this year so far, though, that Mac's been pretty serious. You kind of read the room.
Yeah.
But now Jon
So,
got
and
on
those
the
were
other
the
end of
ones
this
last
now.
year when I didn't ask a question.
Jon got on the end of this on this podcast here, and he's like, God, yeah, I see why Mac struggles sometimes. This is kind of hard.
I get it.
Jon, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much. Read Jon's stuff. I mean, it's so wonderful to have a beat writer that has the passion for Creighton basketball that Jon has, and I'm sure Piv's up there smiling because you're doing him proud and you're doing Creighton proud, and we're so happy to have you.
Thank you. That's high praise from someone such as yourself. So I appreciate that very much. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Jon, we'll catch you at the gamer practice. See ya.
See ya.